Hey, what's up? Today I wanted to shoot another video, doing a little bit of research online and share some opinions with you. So today I Google searched anxious mom. And just kind of as I started typing anxiety, anxious mom was the one that popped up uh, for me originally. So that's why I kind of chose that one to start with. And so I'm going to go over kind of the top three results here. I'm going to start with the third one, tips for how to cope with an anxious mind. If you're in a place in life where you're still feeling anxiety and you have adult children, then this is a good, powerful way to see the lens through their eyes a little bit of what it might be like for them. If you're a younger mom with little kids, then to me, this speaks to the importance of figuring out um, how to take better care of yourself so that it doesn't lead to this type of impact taking place. So they're talking about tips for coping with your anxiety, mom. I just imagine that this would be like a nightmare for a mom, right? Like, I do not want my child to go through something like this because of me. And I'm a big believer in just the buck stops with you when it comes to generational trauma. What do I do to impact myself without leading these things into the next generation? I know. So, they teach you, if you've got adult children, do you notice your kids needing to set a boundary with you? Are they encouraging you to consider your own mental health? Are you already being saying, hey, mom, like, pay attention to this? Uh, they talk about other places where you can get support here. It's on a counseling website. I'm not the biggest fan of therapy. Therapy just kind of perpetuates the problem and it keeps you stuck in kind of this cycle and you talk about it. What do you want to create? You're the mom and the creator in your family, birth to children, and now what are you creating with them? Right? Because they came here with their own greatness, and you get to nurture that and figure out what that looks like, and then figure out, what it is that you're creating. So I'm much more focused on, you know, living your dreams and figuring out your purpose than sitting someplace and just talking in circles about your feelings and what's going on. I mean, there's a time and a place for it, but I don't always think it's the best use of your time once you kind of have some awareness about yourself, right? So focusing on your own self-care. This is where I think the nervous system training is just really, really huge. They're telling the kids, you got to validate your own emotions. And the same is true for the moms. A lot of times moms, as their children were growing up, they were all over the place with their own feelings. And maybe you sought validation through your younger kids at some point in time. So I know these aren't things that people want to do, but when we don't have awareness for how some of these emotional cycles work and these cycles go through families, it's it just can create that trauma bond, right? So we can start by figuring things out and creating growth-based relationships and moving through these things, in a much more impactful way, right? That they're expressing here to acknowledge the impact that your anxiety as a mother had on them as a child. And again, I just don't think any mom wants their children feeling that. It's more counseling, and then it's a place in Missouri. So let's go to the next article. Managing mom anxiety. Why millennial moms are so anxious and how to overcome fears. Okay, so, you know, I don't like this title because it's like labeling people and it's putting things on them that people are resonating with it. So they're clicking on it and they're reading about it and they're, finding this Dr. Lauren to be extremely beneficial and in their corner. But again, you can. you can create your own identity. So owning the identity of being anxious, it's non-serving. So for me, it's more about how do you figure out the identity that you want to have for your kids, for your children, for your family, for yourself, and detach from the group think drone culture saying that you're a millennial and now you're struggling with anxiety. No, is mom anxiety on the rise? Yes, there's a lot going on with technology. We're inundated with so much more that we gotta have. It's harder to have boundaries in the modern world. So it's a byproduct of our modern world. It's less about the emotional side of family and different aspects of it. But that doesn't mean that we need to go above and beyond paying attention to it now because it is so much more prevalent in ways that we can experience threat in our bodies, right? So again, I don't like some of this millennial mom anxiety stuff. Um, Obviously, there's big stresses that they hit, with moms and kids on school shootings. Uh, it drives me bonkers to even see in public schools that they put the thought on a kid's mind by having them go through school shooting events. So, yeah, again, I'm just thinking a little bit differently. Like, what are we exposing their little brains to? Because their brains are in an area of development. So I just have such a huge issue with this. Why put that thought into a kid's mind? That to me is the real shame of school shootings. 75% of the young adults say they feel unsafe every single day. Kids are growing up and they're looking at iPads and they're involved with so much more technology and their eyes move back and forth, lots of saccade movements, and it's close to their face. So it creates a very high threatening situation for them. So that's why it's really important for kids to not be really close to their screens. It's really important for them not to spend too much time on their screens. That's why it's really important for them to be outside in nature and just things that modern society has really gotten away from. If we let our fears dictate our actions, our world gets smaller and smaller. It's really powerful. Right? Like, how often are you catching yourself having this awareness for being in a fear-based situation? Like your mind is playing through something that is worrisome versus how often are you sitting in a space that you're just so thankful that God is amazing and your kids are incredible and you're so excited to see who they become and so passionate about that type of stuff, right? Like we make our world bigger when we change from our fears to our excitement and our passions and finding the passions in our kids. And if we don't feel safe, that can be a tough place to be in. And so, to me, this is how you take an empowered approach, right? Like first we have to accept the reality of the situation and find ourselves. Like what's going on in yourself. And if you don't make the decision to notice that this is a problem and that you want to do something about it, that's step one, right? Said previously in other places that mindset is number one. Mindset is going to matter most. And then we have to be in an empowered approach, right? Second, we have to be empowered in our approach and find ways to do something about the situation. If we take the approach of being unable to affect change, our anxiety will continue to persist. So this is very much making sure that you're going to remove victim language. Like, how can you find radical personal responsibility for yourself? And how can you help teach that to kids? Because it's really missing from society. It's a big one. We just want to do it for them. We're impatient. We don't teach kids to solve their own problems. And then, if they got questions, well, how would you solve that? Right? Like, how do we turn kids into little problem solvers versus just doing the things for them? How do we facilitate their little neurodevelopment when they're working on all the little things in the world with their curiosity? Like their brains are just growing this entire time. And we can really limit that development, or we can really boost that development with play and curiosity and nurturing it, right? When we come together to solve problems, we feel much less isolated, alone, and helpless. So, it's great for moms to be inside of community where you can bounce some of these things off. You can catch one another in the lulls so that you can bring one another back up to the high hills. Like women need to connect. Oxytocin is one of their, it's a huge hormone that's really great for women. It's really great for all of us. But women really get that hormone when they're connecting with one another. So are you connecting with people who are positive and growing, or are you kind of stuck in a rut where the people you're connecting with don't talk about things that light you up? They like weigh down on you, right? Like find yourself in these new environments that are like uplifting. And we don't have to accept the rise of social anxiety from moms. Like in our world, we can tell a different story. We don't have to allow the first couple things on Google to label this, right? When we can feel secure in our own safety, we can go out and make change to help others. Now, this I 100% am behind. When you can figure out your own safety and your own nervous system, and then you can go out and you're better for your families. You're going to show up better for your kids. You're going to show up better for your husband. You're going to show up better for your siblings, aunts, uncles, nephews, nieces, like whoever in your life, your best friends, and people in your community. When you're not, when your nervous system shrinks and your biofield shrinks because there's this level of safety that's not being felt, then it's putting yourself out there, connecting with people. That's an area where then the anxiety builds because you're just not sure of yourself, right? So nervous system training is not just for physical, it's very much also emotional. Three types of mom anxiety and how to deal with it. Go on here to go through what is mom anxiety. Like these are all the questions that play through moms' heads of things that they're struggling, right? So when you catch yourself and you have the awareness that you're replaying a worry and a concern, then how can you be certain that God has got your back, right? How can you be certain that the world is going to be this better place? And maybe that's just like way too much of a positive stretch for some people. Like maybe you just need to look for one next best thing. And then it's that the daily wins, right? Like asking you to count your wins during the week, right? Showing up in the Neuro for Moms group there on Facebook. And when I ask you to count your wins, like this is why this stuff really matters. Is we want to just begin to change the programming. We can have the awareness that we have all of these questions, or we have worrisome things going on inside of us, but how can we start to change that energetic vibration and start to flex that muscle for certainty? You know, they give us all of the excuses here, right? The symptoms and the stuff that's taking place. And it's kind of easy for us to allow to be a victim. Again, this is on a counseling website. They want you to show up for therapy, right? Like they want to see you be a victim. I don't want to see you be a victim. I want to see you empower yourself. I want to see you understand nervous system training. I want to get you to understand how your world and your kids' worlds and your husband's world is just impacted by your nervous system. Right? Like let's bring peace to your home. You want to have that peace in your home. So there's new mom anxiety, postpartum anxiety, signs of new mom anxiety. So now they're saying, hey, this is the stuff that a new mom faces. So come see us, right? Like, yeah, we go through stages of life and there's going to be growth and there's going to be things that make us feel uncomfortable, but it can be exciting. It doesn't have to be fearsome. Just, we can take the bumps and we can just keep on chugging, right? Like we know that stuff is going to happen. So what's our framework for these things? Like how are we viewing them? The bigger ones here, like if we're getting jittery and shaky and dizzy, that's a massive nervous system fuel. Like these are areas where we can really pay attention to have what tools can do for us and how we can make shifts in our nervous system to be in a better space. Stay at home mom anxiety. And I kind of love how they break this out between, you're either staying at home or you're a mom in the workplace. Of course, moms in the workplace have a different set of stress than moms in that stay at home, right? You're one or the other. You're staying at home or you're in the workplace. And you definitely deal with different battles if you're a mom in the workplace or if you're a mom that's at home. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Um, Again, just what is the mom facing being at home versus not being at home? This is where it can be really good for moms that aren't at home to connect with moms that are at home, and moms that are at home to connect with moms who are not at home. Right? Just to kind of like go through some of these feelings with one another and bring them to the surface. Um, so strengthen your social network. Get involved with the Neuro for Moms group to help you understand this stuff. Practice muscle relaxation. This is where I would say practice your neuro drills, right? Like realize that, hey, you've got this stuff that's building up in your body. You notice the tension in your shoulders. You can do the body scans it's suggesting. But then you're also dialing into your brain pattern, whether that's a normal brain pattern or you've had more head injuries or trauma where it's not such a normal brain pattern. It takes a little bit more to figure out the best feeding ways to shift you into safety. That's ultimately what we're looking to do is shift you into safety. Engage in quick bursts of creative mindfulness. Um, these suggestions, they're going for a nervous system appeal here. They're going for stimulus or calming and soothing. And it's, I love that they went there with it because it's obviously right in line with the nervous system stuff that I'm referring to. But there's so much better tools than glittery jar. I don't know. Um, Have you got any other questions for me or other stuff that you're curious? Like, hey, Joe, Google this. Give me your opinion on that. Like, leave some comments below. Let me know and tell me what you think of this little format that I'm kind of doing. If you're looking for the Neuro for Moms group, there's a link below. The articles will be referenced below. And appreciate you for watching. Click and like and subscribe and help me out with this YouTube channel. Thank you.